we could get right into it because Harrison Smith posted something this week that I've been like sitting with for a minute. Um, he laid it out like a blueprint, so I'm gonna actually share the screen and show you guys. We're just gonna hop right into it. So he said the ticks are destroying wild animals so you can't hunt them. The chemtrails are poisoning the ground so you can't grow food. The data centers are the infrastructure of the digital control grid. The purpose of the Iran war was to shut the strait and cause shortages slash rationing. And the anti-Semitic, I'm just going to stop there, push is to criminalize resistance. So I thought this was super interesting. And I decided to source it and see like where he may have gotten this information. And because no one wants to admit it, you don't really need a conspiracy to be alarmed right now. The provable facts of what he's saying are basically good enough. So we're going to look into, you're totally fine. So what did you think about that tweet, Rogue, first of all? Did you think it?
Well, I don't know. I've seen actually a lot of stuff about ticks recently. And I actually got Lyme disease 2 summers ago. So for me, I get pretty invested in any of the tick stuff. And I've seen quite a bit in regards to like them dropping supposedly boxes of ticks. I've seen videos of people who were like walking up to the boxes saying, "Oh, those are ticks all over it." But when I saw one in particular video that showed that, they were the bugs on the box, like they were like, "I'm not gonna touch it because, whatever."
Right.
But they're like, you can see them all over it, but they were like moving really fast. The ticks don't move fast. So I was like, I don't know what that box is. I don't know if I believe the boxes or not yet. Part of me does for sure, because I don't trust a damn person up there. But yeah, for me, I after I got Lyme disease, I like legit didn't want to go outside like anymore. I thought I had a stroke. I got Bell's palsy. It was a mess. And I was sick for like weeks, thinking I had like a connective tissue, because I have a connective tissue disorder, thinking that was in flare, but it wasn't. So I like toughed it out for like weeks and weeks until it got really, really bad. And I was having like nerve pain in my face and my scalp. It was really bad. And so for me, it's like, yeah, if we were to find out some legit information about this stuff, I would be all over it and pretty pissed. But
yeah, so apparently last October a paper was published in a journal called Bioethics. The journal is peer reviewed and it's indexed by the National Library of Medicine. The paper was written by 2 professors and they called it beneficial bloodsucking. So the authors argued that if eating meat is more morally impermissible, so meaning like we all feel bad for eating meat, then efforts to prevent the spread of tick-borne alpha-gal syndrome are also morally impermissible. And then they go further and they argue that promoting the proliferation of tick-borne AGS is morally obligatory. So they're saying that it is basically their moral obligation to spread tick-borne viruses. And they also note in this paper that it's presently feasible to genetically edit the disease-carrying capacity of ticks. So it's not like a thought experiment about what someday may be possible. They're basically describing our existing technology. So what is alpha-gal syndrome? Because a lot of people don't know. Alpha-gal is a condition triggered by a lone star tick bite. The bite causes your immune system to develop antibodies against a sugar molecule called alpha-gal, which is present in red meat, beef, pork, and lamb. Once you have it, eating red meat can cause severe allergic reactions. So like hives, anaphylactic shock, things like that. And for most people, it doesn't go away. It's permanent. So the CDC estimates that at least 450,000 Americans are currently living with it between 2010 and 2022. They identified over 110,000 suspected cases, and the number of new cases was increasing by approximately 15,000 per year. So if you were to pull up a tick map, before 1966, the Lone Star tick was primarily confined to the Southeast. It was only a few states in the coastal areas. Today, the CDC documents its presence among the entire East Coast through the Midwest, and it's moving north aggressively. So these specific ticks that can cause this alpha-gal syndrome does seem to be moving, and it's not like they can't weaponize them. So I feel like looking at all of that data, and we have 2 professors on record saying that they can genetically engineer ticks, doesn't take this conspiracy off the table.
Well, I had heard a long time ago anyway that ticks were created as like a bioweapon. I had heard that at some point. I don't remember, from what or whatever. But and I've heard of the meat problem too, and I've
Hmm.
seen a video of a guy who had an allergic reaction. I mean, the poor man's face was crazy. Like we're talking like his whole face was basically like inflamed and red and like all around his eyes, his whole face, and it won't go away. And for me, I eat carnivore right now. So
Right.
like if I couldn't eat meat, dude, I don't
Well,
know.
and a
I'd
lot
be
of people
so
think
pissed if I
that's
got that.
the Bill Gates agenda because
Right.
he's trying to push the insect meats and the fake meat. And like, if people want to eat vegetarian or vegan, like, totally up to them. But to force a whole population, that's taking away people's rights to what they eat, on top of already lab grown meat and all that disgusting stuff. They're
Yeah.
trying to, in my opinion, it looks like they do have the capabilities to do this. And
Well,
there's
that
also,
just makes me think of too, you've heard of them wanting to put vaccines in produce, right? Like that's a whole thing. This
oh,
was like
yes,
3
I have
years
seen
ago
that.
too, where it was like brought to like in front of Senate basically. And there was a dude who was like, "Oh, we just want to make sure that if it is in the grocery store that it's labeled properly so people know the dosage." It's like, "No." And then the dude who's asking the questions is like, "Well, is it already in the produce? Like, we need to know if it's in the produce at the stores. Like, that's what I want to know. Are you doing it already?" And he totally
Right.
bypassed the question, didn't answer it, and went on and on, basically saying, "Well, really, what we need to know is whether or not, people will be able to tell how much they're getting." No, like, that's not what we need to know. We need to
No.
know if you're fucking
If
doing
you're
it
putting
already.
stuff in our yes. Like, are
Yes,
you already
it's
putting it in there?
insane. That's
Yeah,
crazy to me to even consider because, first of all, we're acting like, everyone knows how to read. Let's just be
right,
fair there. Not everyone knows how to read. And B, when you're like going through the grocery store, so what does that mean? Say you want to make a big salad for like a whole group of people
right.
and you grab this one or whatever. Or what if you really love salad? So you're like, I'm going to just like, and you keep eating the same one, but you're giving yourself too much. Like, how can that ever be a regulated thing? I couldn't even fathom how they could
No,
justify putting a vaccine in any produce of any kind. It's freaking nuts to me. And this
it's
falls right in that, like, category to me of, like, the same.
yeah, like
I don't
bioengineering what
know.
you can eat as a weapon. That's just messed
Yes.
up. And then here's this video of people like of ticks chasing people. I'm not gonna play the sound because it's terrifying enough, but we can watch it.
It's I hate them so much. I literally, when I think about outside now, that is moving
And the guy's
faster
like
than I would have
moving.
thought. I'll give him credit. That's moving faster than I thought. I thought they were pretty slow. Maybe they're faster than I realized. You only see them kind of when they're on you most of the time, unless you're someone who's in the woods all the time.
Yeah, and
You
they
might
put it
be
as
aware,
they
like,
see the
see
victim
them.
and run after them. And then this
It's
person is
insane,
alleging
dude.
Bill Gates and co. Releasing millions of genetically engineered ticks into the wild, also programmed them to actively hunt down humans. Sounds about right. Now, that I can't 100% source, but we can source that they know there's a capability to bioengineer, which I did just prove. If it's
Yeah.
been done or not is a question that we're all supposed to basically
Right.
ask from here. How do ticks get their victims? It is called questing. So they detect your carbon dioxide and body heat and move towards you. It's completely normal tick behavior. The video is real and they're hunting us, framing may be a little exaggerated, but 450,000 Americans have permanently lost the ability to eat red meat already, which is so abnormal. I think most
How
of us
many
probably
again? What?
450,000.
That's
That's
fucking nuts, dude.
that's not a small number.
It's terrifying. I've gotten to a point where, like, I am someone who wants to be outside. Like, I want to be gardening and doing like my landscaping and stuff like that. But after that happened, and I've gotten better like a few years out now, but after I got the Lyme disease, I literally was like, I feel like outside of my little house bubble, all I think of is them everywhere because, like, you can't see them just when you just look outside, but I feel like they're
Right.
just everywhere and I just can't. It's like I don't want to go past my deck, I hate it. I feel like
Yes.
it's trapping me. And I did speak to my doctor about it because for anybody who has had Lyme disease, I don't know how much you know about it or how the process works, but essentially when you get Lyme disease, you have they test for different things in your blood. So they test for IgG and IgM, and each of those have a different part. So like when you're initially um, infected, you have like a time frame. I think it's like 8 to 9 weeks or so where like one of those, I think it's the IgM, will test as positive if you're tested for Lyme disease. And then after that time frame, it doesn't test positive anymore because it's so embedded in your system that it's now become the IgG only. But they don't test for that. When they do like your initial Lyme disease test, they are testing for that other one. So if you've bypassed that and they don't think for some reason that you have Lyme disease and they don't push for the further test, you just wouldn't know that you have it. And you could be living with these awful symptoms for a really long time until they figure it out. And so then, of course, after I had said, I know that I'll probably always test positive for it because that's just kind of how it goes. So I asked, like, if for some reason I thought I got infected again, what does that mean? Like, can I just come to you and say I have symptoms that I think might not be my connective tissue disorder, but something else? And what happens then? And you will still test for that IgM one, that initial kind of marker for that frame, no matter what, like if you got a new infection. So that's good to know. So if you are someone who's had it and you worried about the same thing, because for me, I didn't have the bullseye rash. I had like I had 2 marks on my leg that almost look like when you're wearing shorts and you sit with like your legs crossed and then you like take one off and you have that kind of like red mark as it
Hmm.
starts to fade. It was pretty faded. So I thought it was like maybe a bruise that was just like kind of weird looking. And I didn't think anything of it because I've always only heard of the bullseye thing and it was not that. So,
Yeah. Well, and that's
but
the
yeah,
first example of them weaponizing ticks, right? A lot of people think Lyme disease came from a lab as well. And then now we're talking about alpha gal syndrome, which is a parallel to, so it's like now on top
now they
of,
have
and yeah, on top of one thing, it could be
2.
another thing. And then ticks are also coming after the animals too. And they're
Yeah,
like,
right.
there's,
And so I don't know what that means in the testing for the Lone Star tick. I don't know if it's the same setup, if it's the same. I think it's called ELISA or something is like the type of testing it's like an acronym. And I think that's the one that they tested for me, which was the Lyme disease. So I don't know if it's even the same kind of thing. Like, is it the same thing where you have a certain time frame that you'll test positive in this section, but not, you know what I mean? Or is it just
right.
totally different? I have no idea. But I'm so afraid of like getting it again. And I certainly don't want that one. And I know up here where I am in the Northeast, it is really bad. I actually was told by one of my doctors at the time, it could have changed since then, that the adjacent county to ours has the highest Lyme disease infection rate in the country. I don't know
Wow.
if that's still accurate, but
Wow.
I
That's
also have said
crazy.
too to people that I don't know about you. As a kid, I played in the woods like all the time, all
Oh,
day,
yeah.
every day. We would be like, we're
They
going
want
to the
you to
woods.
be
No,
afraid
we
to
would be
play
like,
in the woods.
find the broken tree, and that's where we're gonna like build our stuff. Like we would just play in the woods all day. And never once did I get a tick on me. I think the first tick I ever had on me, I was like a teenager, maybe in high school. And prior to that, which would have been like 98 or further, I never had a tick on me. And that's crazy because I spent most of my childhood in the woods and now I can walk to my mailbox on the pavement, touch the grass, and get a tick on me. It's
Yes.
insane.
Well, I think what Harrison's point of the tweet, and that's why I'm going over it kind of line by line, is that all of these things are being engineered to make us miserable as people and like lower our quality of life. I'm going to switch into the second point he kind of was making, which was about AI. And I'm going to share my
Really
screen
quick
and show
before
you
you
this.
do that, what you were
Yeah.
just saying too, though, about like keeping us out of the woods, this also pushes me right back to like the video I did about the 15-minute cities.
Yes.
Like, keep us out of the woods, keep us out of like the land, herd us towards these areas where we can just be and be kept and maintained
Yes.
and
And they want,
controlled.
and that will go into the surveillance state. Like it all
Yep.
comes
It
together
all
in a
spider webs together all the
disturbing
time.
picture. Yes, it's very
Yep.
disturbing, which is why you can make content on this forever, right?
Yep.
And then what also I found very disturbing, and I had actually retweeted this because a lot of this stuff is from my Twitter and I want to verify some of this stuff, but we're going to get into AI now. And this just disturbed me deeply. It says on a billboard in New York and San Francisco, stop hiring humans. The era of AI employees is here.
I
I don't
hate
know
it.
about
I
you,
hate it
but as
so
a
much.
human, I hate this. Like,
I get so mad about this at this point, and like I had talked to you about it before, but I just like not long ago saw that stupid freaking ad for an AI companion. The dude being like, "I won't complain about my day to you." It's like, that's the human experience, bitch. Like, we complain, okay? It's what it is. I
Right.
just I can't stand the dystopian, like, "You don't need a real boyfriend, get this AI boyfriend." But this is exactly it too, like, this is insane to have a billboard asking to
Yes.
stop hiring humans, like, who the hell?
So, this
Ugh, my
company is
anger.
called they wanna remove our American jobs, right? We know they're already doing that with H-1B visas. They're also doing that, just by selling us out to, call I worked in call center, so call centers are all basically
Me
outsourced at this
too.
point. And that used to be an American job. Americans do a very good job at it. I can say that from experience. I was one of the best in the industry, which is why I became a director. But they want to put that out of American hands because they're actually pretty good paying jobs. They're very reliable jobs. And so,
Yeah.
on top of that, this company called Artisan AI, they're a San Francisco startup and they sell AI employees. So, their flagship product is an AI sales rep named Ava. And their marketing campaign, which has been running since 2024, says the Stop Hiring Humans. And their CEO, when asked about the backlash, and apparently they received a ton of death threats, said it was for shock value. The campaign is designed to provoke, and it worked. It got international coverage. In my opinion, a lot of people say all press is good press, but I would argue that this is not, like, just like acts of war, right? This is not good press. This is like, if I were to look for a company and I'm the one trying to figure out what software I want to use, I would not go for the company that says stop hiring humans, even if I'm looking for an AI
Just
software.
because it's bad, freaking it looks bad, like
Yes.
the appearance to the world of us humans, it doesn't look good. Yeah, it's
No.
like a direct, like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Yes.
No.
Well, and I think Matt Walsh said something really interesting. He said, and I'm going to read it verbatim, and I think this is a really good take. So kudos to Matt Walsh because he hasn't had a good take in a little while. Big tech companies are sprinting forward, building data centers as fast as they can, sometimes using eminent domain to seize the land by force. This is happening in Georgia, and we'll talk about that. Making their AI more and more powerful, expanding the technology at lightning speed with no guardrails of any kind at all. Yet none of these tech gurus or any of their apologists have even attempted to explain what exactly all of the millions of people who lose their job and the increasing numbers who will lose their homes, all sacrificed on the AI altar, which I love him saying that, are supposed to do. How does society support millions of unemployed and displaced people? What becomes a society where algorithms and machine do everything and a few people become trillionaires where millions lose everything? There is no answer to any of this. Instead, we're simply told that China exists and we have to beat him, which is beat them. And Tucker Carlson just exposed Kevin O'Leary saying exactly that. So agree with Matt Walsh. And then he said, we're going to obliterate entire industries, entire categories of jobs all at once. And the only justification anyone can give is China, and it's madness. I agree with this take 110%. And China has always been the scapegoat for the past 20 years for why Americans need to do things that go against our moral principles. China,
Yeah.
because China is doing it. Do we want to live in China? I do not. I
Yeah.
see they are
I
sleeping on the streets right now
I
with
feel like
moral
we're
credit
trying to do
scores.
something different, so, like, why are we basing what we're doing on them? Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Do we want to
Because
be
it's not
China?
about us, it's about
I don't want to be
them.
China. I'm not living there. So how about we do what Americans want us to do, which is hire Americans, hire locally, do what you said you would do, not give all of our jobs to AI or H-1B visas. So I think Matt Walsh had a great take, and I think we should all sit on that because there isn't an
Yeah.
answer to any of this. But um, I feel like what people are doing is fighting back. I have a couple examples of that. But I feel like the AI trend's not slowing down, and I know everyone's worried about it. And I use AI, but like I could give up AI. It's not a
Yeah.
necessity to life.
It's just it just for me, the only thing I really use it for, like we do, is either A, to simplify a Google search, which obviously I can do on my own, but also just in speeding up the process of, like, posting on YouTube, like descriptions, things like that, because it's easier to, like, get them to generate it for us. I
Yeah.
imagine that usage anyway is not really the problem with a lot of this stuff. It's the other stuff, making videos and the stuff that takes, like, a lot of work from the system. But either way, I was talking about this too recently because the AI thing to me, and I was telling you about it outside of this, about
Mhm.
like for anybody who isn't aware, I have a part-time job and I work at a grocery store. I love the job. I actually love the people that I work with. I get to see it and know a lot of people. There's a lot of movement of people coming in and out, so there's a lot of social interaction. And when you're working in like corporate America and in like a um, cubicle or working from home. I actually saw a good friend yesterday. I swung by and saw her, and she's still in corporate America. And I was telling her the same thing, and she was like, "Yeah, I mean, I hate it. I feel like I see no one. I do nothing." And I totally had forgotten about. It's not that you forget about um, the fact that you're socializing with people. Like I think of most people who are in that boat, like working from home or working in a cubicle, like they recognize that there's a disconnect there, but I
Mhm.
think you forget about the things you actually get from the social interactions, even in a workplace. Like for me, it's like I'm interacting with people of all age ranges with different interests, and it's bringing out things in me that like I forgot, like, oh, I forgot about that. I love that too. And, like I feel like I'm gaining so much from these social interactions. And we're so quick to want to like get out of that. Like I it was like
After
for the
COVID.
longest time I said once I'm like done with getting monetized, right? Or once I'm bringing in the same amount of money, which isn't much because I work at a grocery store and I only work part time, then I don't have to work there. And I was like, why am I doing that? Like, I don't want to quit. I actually enjoy going every day and seeing the people I work with and having a good time because it's not a serious job. In a sense, it's like I take it seriously. I do my job well, but like it's not serious that I'm taking it home with me and stressing out every day. And it's very nice. And when I thought more about it, I thought, how are they going to take away this job? Sure, could they? Like, yes, would we lose maybe cashiers? Could we lose people on like the infrastructure side of like the company? Sure. But when you're talking about until they take away our ability to go grocery shopping on our own, we're still going to need people who bring food out or make salads and sandwiches that can't be shipped because they won't last long enough, or, slice meat for you. Like these things are all things that have to happen. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm in the upper echelons of what's to come. Y'all are going to try to get your job from me. You people making your 80 grand for, insurance jobs or whatever. You're going to be coming for my grocery job soon, and I'm not giving it up. Like I
Yes, I don't
refuse.
blame you. Well, the things that you have to do, like even think about McDonald's, like they have cut down on so many of their local employees, but they still need them.
Well,
They
now,
are
yeah, they're
still there.
barely anybody. If you ever go in them, they're barely anybody at the
Like a
registers now.
ghost
You
town.
order at those little kiosks and then they just bring your food out. So,
Yes.
but yeah, the amount when we stop and really think about like the amount of social interaction that has been just taken away from us since
On
especially
purpose since
obviously
COVID.
2020. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, and we've normalized it so much at this point. And as an older person at this point now working, and I can see how a lot of people might look down on someone who works at a grocery store. And now I'm like, I think you're in the wrong. And I imagine there's going to be plenty of people who are going to put their pride aside at some point, because when you talk about companies laying off thousands, tens of thousands of associates all in one fell swoop, all those people are going to be trying to go somewhere else. And they're going to be trying to go to companies that are doing the same thing. And it's going to keep happening. And there's going to be we're going to keep having this massive disconnect of the amount of bodies needed for these jobs that pay well, but are, these AI now jobs. Those people, the ones that are able to suck it up and say, I guess I need to get a different job, they're coming. They're coming for my shit. And I'm not giving it up.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And my
And I
husband's at
think
a grocery store too, so we're like,
yes,
we're
you guys
good.
are you guys are happy there. Yeah. Well, I think too, I do want to talk about a little bit how AI is taking over the land and the AI data center. So not just AI taking jobs, but how like important it is we make sure our local communities are paying attention to where these AI data centers are going.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to just get local here and talk about a small town. So Festus, Missouri, with a population of 14,000 in March of 2026, their city council voted 6-2 to approve a $6 billion AI data center, which was 360 acres just north of their Highway 67. The company building it is called CRG, and residents said they were never properly heard. The meetings were held, the votes were cast, but the people said they weren't part of the process in any meaningful way. 1 week later, on April 6th, the town held its local election, and the 4 council members who voted yes were ousted. They were voted out by their local community. Every single person. So, 4 candidates running on pro transparency anti-data center platform swept the seats. So this is how we do it, people. You show up
Yes.
local and vote these people out now. I'm not saying you can, we're going to win this war, but we better go to battle. And I think Festus, Missouri gave us a masterclass on how to show people you ain't shit without us. And I'm going to say that boldly here because I feel like a lot of people don't focus on local accountability. And the sad part is the data center is still being built because it was already passed. So we need to pay very close attention to these things. And a lawsuit was then filed by a group called Wake Up Jeff Co. But the project is moving forward. So they're going to sue this company. But this is way we get out and vote for transparent local people because that's what matters. Your local government is what controls what goes around you.
And I honestly feel like the local stuff is the stuff that most of us don't hear about because we only hear about the national stuff. We get sucked into all this national news or the global news. And then they know that. They know that we're not paying attention to the stuff going on around us locally. And I think that's where they're going to get the most insidious because they know that. And so we really do. And I am just as guilty. I do not know nearly enough about my local government. I have a friend that does. So I've been learning from her. But we really do need to push the local awareness of what's going on around us. And I've seen some really great clips of people having plenty of things to say about the data centers in their local government hearings and stuff. And if you haven't watched it or you don't, you should look it up for sure because some of them are very eye-opening quotes from people who live there and what they're dealing with and there's a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I want to talk about Georgia. So, Georgia Power is using eminent domain, which is the government's legal authority to seize private property, which should be illegal, to acquire land for transmission lines to feed new hyperscale data centers. In Wisconsin, residents are facing the risk of losing parts of their land to eminent domain for a 600-acre AI data center project. In Pennsylvania and Maryland, landowners are posting signs on rural highways that say, no eminent domain for corporate gain. I love that slogan. We need to steal that. No eminent domain for corporate gain. And then Politico documented that at least 16 major data center projects were blocked or delayed in 2025 due to community opposition. So 25. Why are there so many AI data centers? And we're going to talk about that because I have a tweet that I really, really liked. And I thought this feels to hit it on the head. And it kind of coincides with what Harrison was saying. So what's provable about the AI data centers? Eminent domain is being used or threatened to support private data center infrastructure. That is documented across multiple states. Communities are being bypassed in the approval process. And so what Harrison Smith said, that the data centers are the infrastructure of digital control grid. So we can't necessarily prove that right now, but it doesn't mean it's not coming down the line. And then I want to read that X tweet because I think this is more why they're building these
really
AI
cool
data centers.
website.
Awesome. Here, give me 2 seconds. Go. You can say that, and I will put this up here.
It's not a video. It's just a website I just stumbled on that we can share that people will. Let me find it. Hold on. Let me pull it up on here because I pulled it on my phone. Because I was trying to check because there was a. Why is I'm telling you, there's something up with my freaking. I gotta do it on. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. I thought because I have two browsers open, totally different, Safari and Chrome, and one of them never works right now. Chrome is not working.
So I'll read this while you're looking that up. Okay. This person said, my wife and I were recently discussing the significant expansion of data centers across the United States. We noted that a substantial number of these facilities appear to lack a clear, high-value operational purpose relative to their scale and resource consumption. We also observed that many are being constructed on prime agricultural land. This led us to consider a more speculative hypothesis. Could the primary intent behind a portion of these developments be to accelerate the depletion of underground aquifers? By significantly reducing available groundwater, such activity could impair or eliminate large-scale farming and ranching operations. And now we're going back to the Bill Gates theory. Additionally, any resulting ecological disruptions, such as increased pest populations like ticks, going back to what we talked about, might further limit activities such as hunting. If these effects were to materialize on a broad scale, would they sufficiently constrain traditional food production to push consumer reliance toward alternatives such as bio meat products associated with investors like Bill Gates or insect based dairy substitutes? I thought that was a wonderful sum up of what we've already talked about throughout this episode today, because unfortunately, it is just one of those things where, yes, people are that evil. I'm just going to say the word evil. Whoever is ruling over us at this point, and we know we're being ruled over, I think Tucker Carlson says that well, they do not like us. So is all of this a conspiracy, or is it just us connecting the dots? That's where I'm going to leave that.
I don't know if this will let me share properly, but I don't like why that this is being so dumb for me. Like, I feel like this wants me to share.
It's trying to share your StreamYard screen.
Right.
Stream.
And it won't
Yeah,
let me
send it
pick
to
a
my
different
Discord.
one.
I can share it.
So gay.
StreamYard is one of those lately. Like, I've had a lot of
It's not
issues.
that. It's whatever's going on with like it's not allowed. I usually use Chrome because it's what works with StreamYard best, but it's nothing's working for me on Chrome. So I don't know if I need like some kind of, I don't know, some kind of update. All right. Now everything's in weird windows. Hold on, I got it here.
You're fine.
I just stumbled on this because I was trying to see if there was any in my area, because I remember hearing of China buying out a plot of land near us that was listed for like 15 million, right? And they bought it out for some bottling company, some Chinese bottling company, for 65 million. And it's like, the land was listed for 15 million, so why are they paying 65 million?
Well, you know.
Why are we accepting 50 million more than that? What's going on here?
Right.
Obviously it's just like screaming, it's shady. So I thought, oh gee, are they because they were talking about it using a bunch of like your water supply and stuff. So I thought, oh gosh, is that a data center? Because I've never heard of any in my area. So I Googled and I came across this website, and you can click on each state and it will tell you how many data centers are going in, or, like for mine, for instance, in New Hampshire, that it doesn't have any. It says there's not any planned right now. But you can click on the actual states themselves and it'll give you
what's crazy
the information.
Is when you look at this map, there are so many in very densely populated
areas. It's almost like a
areas.
nice visual when you zoom out to see, where are they doing this the most?
Well,
you know what I mean?
And why does that matter? And I'll tell you why that matters. Because if you're ruining the local population's food supply, their water, everything like that, you're planning these around people. You're not planning these around where there's land. Because I will tell you, there's a lot more land in the Midwest, and I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why are you putting that on the East Coast where most of our population lives?
There. Right.
Exactly. And it's because it's not about what they're telling you it's about. It's about a bigger, sinister agenda to take out the local communities. That's what they're trying to do, because this is where a population lives. That just clears it up for me right there. I don't know. It's kind of disgusting, quite frankly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because look, I would say if you guys haven't checked out this website, certainly do, because again, going back to like the being proactive in like on your county level.
Why
or your
so
state
many
level?
in Atlanta?
Right.
There's no land in Atlanta, guys. There's no land there.
Right.
It's one of the most
Why
densely
would you
populated
be doing it there?
cities.
And I'm sure they'll say something like it has to be in a certain vicinity of whatever. Bullshit. I don't believe you.
That they're all full of shit. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense. Because look, go to even I know Missouri has a ton of land. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right that we should even be doing this. But what I'm saying is, if you cared about human beings, you would not put it in densely populated areas such as Atlanta, one of our biggest cities.
Especially
and then why are so many in Washington?
To, your water supply and you'd think they would leave it away from Washington because that's like their home base, right? Like, don't mess with their stuff, but don't shit in your own bed, sort of a thing. But I guess whatever.
They don't. It's just like, I want to go back to Michael Jackson. They don't care about us. That song is about.
Oh, that song is so good.
It's literally everything.
The lyrics are so hardcore, dude.
They are
definitely not what you think of when you think of Michael Jackson. Yes, Danks did do a really great video on this, and it's really funny because that day that he did that, I had just been watching stuff about the data center. I swear we all share like this overall vibe of like what we want, what we're talking about next, like because when he did that, I was like, oh, dude, I was just watching that. I was going to cover
Yeah,
it
and the
too.
point of this video is to put it all together, right? Because we know a lot of our audience has already watched these things. So what we're trying to do here is actually show you the plan. Like, here you go. We know what AI data centers are, right? I don't need to get in too far into that. But what we are trying to show you is here is how it looks from the big picture and why they're doing, because AI data centers isn't the only thing that's going on. Like, I want to talk about the domestic terrorism law. Because what's going around is basically a photo of Trump writing, "We will find you and we will kill you," on the new domestic terrorism law. And this all kind of fits together into that Harrison tweet. So basically, this week, the White House released something that deserves more attention than it's getting. The 2026 US counterterrorism strategy was 16 pages, and they already fixed this. They did a domestic terrorism policy that I've already talked about, and now they're doing another counterterrorism strategy, but it's focused on domestic as well. And you can read it. It's at the whitehouse.gov. So if you feel free to go there. But basically, Trump says, if you hurt Americans or are planning to hurt Americans, we will find you and we will kill you. That phrase appears above the president's signature. It's directed at terrorist cartels, Iran, and it's like framed as the foreign threat. But the third one is the one I want to talk about because there's three primary threat categories. It's the narco terrorists, the legacy Islamist terrorists. We're always talking about these people. But the third one is violent left-wing extremists, including anarchists and anti-fascists. Well, anarchist is a very interesting word to use there. And what they say they are going to do is they will prioritize the rapid identification and neutralization of violent secular political groups whose ideology is anti-American. We've heard Tucker Carlson been called anti-American, radically pro-transgender, and anarchist, and will use all of the tools constitutionally available to map them at home, identify their membership, map their ties to international organizations like Antifa, and use law enforcement tools to cripple them operationally. Now, on its face, it sounds like something, you may want, but I'm going to point this out. Even though Congress and federal law enforcement agencies have considered far-right actors responsible for some of the deadliest act of political violence in the last 2 decades, they're saying it's left-leaning, right? So there's a lot of conflicting information on who is actually the most extreme. Is it far right or is it far left? Right. And so it's like when you start putting people into boxes, you're talking about Americans. That's what I don't like about this.
I can't stand it. My husband and
Yes.
I are constantly talking about it lately, especially just like in regards to the people who are still posting stuff about left versus right. It's like, it's like bashing your head against a wall. It's just so silly to me to even have that
Well, and
opinion
when you
anymore.
think about it, you can stretch the word violent, you can stretch the word anarchist because it has no legal precision. You could call me or you anti-American just because we don't share a particular foreign policy belief or a particular funding belief, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So what is an anti-American?
It's opinionated. It's your opinion versus mine, which is a load of shit.
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those things where it's like, where do we
make up your own definition, then it doesn't really matter.
I just feel like if things get inconvenient for the current elites, they just want to basically make a law against you. Like you are something and we don't want you anymore.
They're really good at doing it in a gray area that makes it really hard for it to not be manipulated into whatever they want it to be so they can make sure that they can enforce it.
Yes.
It's just, and it's, I don't know. It is to a point where, yeah, we can do stuff locally, but it does get to a point where you do just start to feel like, between all the things that they can sneak into, bills and whatever that are thousands of pages long, and we are none the wiser, and they already know what those things are. They already know the things that they're all going to just agree on, Democrats and Republicans, because that's the true agenda, is the stuff that they just blindly go, yeah, like that's obvious. Put that in there, because none of us are going to argue that, because that's the actual end goal, is whatever the things they're not making anything public about, they're just sneaking shit into bills left and right, and we don't know about it. We are none the wiser. And
Well, yeah, think about the Patriot Act or FISA, COINTELPRO,
yeah,
all of those things happened. And every major national security expansion in American history has been under the guise of these words, right? For your
yep.
security. It's like, I think you're just trying to surveil me. Like, I don't think this is
Trust me,
for
I
my
was in deep
security.
on that because I was working in banking when they came out with the Patriot Act, and I had like only I had just gotten into it right after 9/11, so I had like we had training that taught us exactly what it was all about and why it was so important, and I had talking points and how to explain to people why we need this information and why this information is important. And they just yeah, and when you talk about all these different groups of people that you interact with, same way I was just talking about, like at my job, you meet people, you learn stuff throughout like your life with all these different people. All those things, they're just reinforced by us inside conversations, and it doesn't become something that feels important anymore. It just feels like, oh, well, that makes sense. You would know, you worked in banking, I didn't, like that makes sense. Like we justify it and we do it in these small little chunks of time and little conversations that it doesn't feel the way it actually is. The impact and the problems it causes, they don't feel that way when it's in that scenario. And that's how all this stuff gets disseminated between all of us people, is just word of mouth, what I heard, what I was taught, what I learned, and it's all justified in whatever way we want it to be. And we become numb and don't realize what we're setting ourselves up for.
Yeah. And it's a lot of information, which is why I wanted to kind of put this all in one place because I read several of these threads over the week and I thought this all needs to come together in a picture because it's basically saying like it's we the people versus the people making the laws right now. They don't
Hmm.
care if you don't want an AI data center. They don't care if you don't want to eat their insect food. They don't care if you like
Their
to go
fucking
hunting.
3D printed meat.
Yeah, they don't care if you want to go outside. They're going to put stuff in your ticks. They don't care. So we need to get up and care about it. And then one other thing I want to talk about really quick because not a lot of people are talking about this, but and it's a little bit unrelated, but it's the Charlie Kirk stuff, so we always cover that.
Sure.
Apparently Judge Tony Graff ruled that the cameras are going to stay in the Tyler Robinson trial.
Oh, good.
So a lot of people were worried that if this was truly some conspiracy against Charlie Kirk, they wouldn't let them have cameras. I know there is a caveat because basically I think you have to be approved to be in there as like cameras, so approved cameras.
Sure.
Um, Kind of wondering if Elizabeth Lane will be able to get in there or not.
That would be
But
nice if we had like a person we knew, like we could try. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
yeah.
like independent
Because
media,
if
but
it's like
cameras
from your
will be in
fucking
there.
list of BS, I don't care. I don't
Yeah,
it's exactly the
exactly.
point. The same thing is like, okay, well, don't you have to present evidence? Well, what if everyone involved in the process of the trial is fucking involved and they're just gonna be like, well, that evidence we're not gonna use. How the fuck would we
Right.
know? We wouldn't know. We just wouldn't.
Well, what's crazy to me is like I remember the Johnny Depp case and Amber Heard case, and that thing was so wild. Like that was like you need a viewer discretion
Amber
because just
Heard. That
listening
was
to it.
crazy. I was actually working in
They live streamed the
like the
whole
auto
thing though.
adjusting field, so I was traveling a lot, so I was able to listen to that thing the whole time and it was
Mhm.
crazy.
Well,
Fucking
they
Amber
live
Heard.
streamed the
Amber
whole thing.
Turd.
No one like was like, you know what I mean? Like no one's like, "Oh, we can't have cameras in the courtroom." And that was rather
Yes.
personal. Like that was a
Yes.
personal domestic
Yes.
dispute type
It
situation.
is kind of crazy to me how they're being so like specific about like it yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that just screams cover up, psyopy, whatever.
I think it was well, and the defense had argued that the jury pool was irreparably contaminated. And 64% apparently of Utah County has judged Robinson as guilty, and 99% of them know the case. So it's like
Well,
not like
that's
you're going to get
because
a
like
jury of
there's
your
tons
peers.
of people. We are in a weird bubble here where we
Yes.
have this information and we learn about all this information, and some people definitely think that the information we've gotten or learned is crazy pants. But anybody who's in this circle of or bubble of information that we are recognizes, how it all pieces together, and it is a lengthy thing to piece together. And so for people who don't have the time and don't care to look into it, they simply don't. And unfortunately, that's a pretty big part of the population, I think. Still, there's
I
a
do too.
much larger group of people who genuinely see what's going on, and are saying that. And I think it's much larger than like any other kind of psyopy thing we've dealt with in history. I think that this has
Mhm.
woken up a lot more people than they probably ever thought it would. But it doesn't change the fact that we're still the minority in comparison to the other people, because all those
Yeah,
other people are still in their zone, you know, they're in their lane, they're working, they hear what they hear on mainstream media, and that's that. And that is still a very larger population of people. So it will be interesting to see what happens with this court case for sure,
it will be. Yeah, and
especially
mainstream
now.
media is still a majority, and I think that's why it's like people keep saying that
Well,
Candace
and
Owens is gonna taint the jury pool, but mainstream media already did that because we know that's what a lot of people watch.
and we know too that they're rapidly converting the independent media category of people, like, you know, if you want to consider us that, maybe, I guess, but they're rapidly converting that into mainstream media. I mean, they're just doing the exact same thing. All these people are being paid off. People you thought that were great, people you thought that were unbiased, I can guarantee you there's a large chunk of them that are all bought off as well. We can do the same bullshit Brady Bunch fucking group together clips from shows where they're all repeating the same BS talking points. It's just
Right.
happening now, and it's happening probably faster because they already know how it works. They know that the people doing this job are doing it for income, and that the income depends on viewership, and, you know, they're pushing all that and they're using that to their advantage, and it's just what it is. So you really have to use discernment, and you really have to have, unfortunately, the time to pick up on the other stuff that, you know, is being repeated, and it's hard.
It is hard. It is hard,
Um,
and I feel like it's one of those things where it's like the judge probably agreed to this because he was basically saying like live streaming in particular allows as many people as are interested to observe the justice system at work and hold our branches of government accountable. So I think he was attempting to be transparent, but I did see there was a clause about allowed. So I don't know if there's going to be a
yeah.
24/7 live stream or not. I think that's something that we will find out, and then we'll be able to discern from there. Hey,
Yeah,
this is
it's just gonna have
this
to
is
wait and
fake.
see, kind of.
Like we saw
Yeah,
how the thing is, we saw how Amber Heard and Johnny Depp stuff came out. It was all out there. We live streamed the whole
yeah,
thing. So if you can't provide the Johnny Depp Amber Heard level trial, we know something's going on because we
yeah,
saw that. And that was very personal. It wasn't just like, oh, we have all this evidence. Like, I would say that is way more personal than this Charlie Kirk case. I'm not saying there's not a lot of conspiracy and hype behind it, and there's theories and people really care. But I just mean like, there were some very personal details that they will probably never get into in the Charlie Kirk case because this is a
yeah,
murder case, not a domestic
yeah,
dispute.
yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure. I did send you that reel, the short or whatever, that I thought could be funny to share.
perf. Oh, I love this guy. I
Figure we
just
can
saw
end
something
it
like
on
that.
that if you want, because
Yes. And then we can talk look at our comments because we're guys, we talked about this before, but we're putting comments kind of towards the back of the show in case YouTube pushes. People who watch a live stream don't always know it's a live. So they'll comment about
we
like,
get
hey,
people who are so upset. They're so upset that we're like
yes,
chatty, and it's like, well, this
yes,
is you're watching a live after the fact. So yeah, we're trying to keep it condensed at the beginning and then be a little less structured at the end. So apologies if we don't get through all the comments or see them all.
yeah.
But it's the easiest way to do it so we don't get yelled at after, because
Yeah,
everybody
because
gets all
we
butthurt
love the
and they're like
chat,
mad at
but
us. I had
yeah,
one person one time was like, "Stop playing with your hair, just get to it." I'm like, "You're watching a live stream." I was waiting for like shit to like be prepared and ready to go.
that's a
But
nervous tick of mine as I play with my hair a lot. It's just one of mine, so too bad. Okay, let's get this guy
I
on
had
the
to send it to
screen.
Discord though, because mine's weird. So
Well, everything starts immediately playing, and that annoys me,
yes, yes,
but whatever.
especially like the same thing on Instagram. You have to have like the grid
Yes,
of stuff up first before you click.
it's so true. Okay, let's play this one. Love this.
I know. Oh, I can't hear it. Is there like a?
Oh, I forgot. I wasn't gonna share my because you know how sometimes my thing like it doesn't let me share audio, so I didn't put anything in the show for it. So give me two
Oh, that's
seconds because
right.
yeah,
Okay.
I'll have to do it a little bit differently,
Well,
but it's fine. I
normally I
should
can
be able
share
to.
too, but for some reason it's not letting me. So
Yeah, no, no big deal. Let me do this a different way. I'll do it on a different screen, and that way it's not going to affect anything. It's funny because I can hear it, so I can't tell that you can't hear
I
it.
know.
Like, people, if you have show notes, like, they don't know that, but it's like, I can hear it this whole time, and I don't know what you guys
Yeah,
can
I know,
hear.
and it's
Okay.
really distracting when someone's talking and you're, like, hearing it over in your
Mhm.
ear, it's like, "Ah!"
No, it's so true. Okay, share screen. Let's see if we can get this one to actually play the sound. Lord help us. Let us be able to play this, please. All right, I'm gonna play it. See.
Charlie Kirk. I didn't even know that was in their wheelhouse. It was literally a video. You have this Iranian general just sitting in a chair with his face blurred. He's speaking in English, which means it's to me, okay? But he has an Iranian accent. I know it's an Iranian accent because I lived in LA for 10 years. Like, let me tell you about a Charlie Kirk. I'm like, what do you got for me, General? And he's like, did you know Charlie Kirk was killed by your government? I was like, yes, I did know that. I did actually. He's like, well, while we were having Cash Patel for funsies, we got into your FBI's mainframe, no big deal. Apparently the password's Valhalla 123. And we found documents that revealed that your government plotted the murder of Charlie Kirk, and it didn't go according to plan. What? Our government botched an assassination attempt? We would never. He says, well, no, Charlie Kirk was not killed by a bullet. He was killed by an explosive device planted into his microphone that was clipped to his shirt. I know. Mind blown. Better choice of words? Sure. I'm sure a lot of people are asking, what? Who could even plant an explosive device in a small piece of technology and detonate it remotely? Who would do that? But it's a thing, and it is real. 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 And it's Israel. They did it with pagers.
And it is real.
Tel Aviv Tech? Okay. He said the device was supposed to explode downward into Charlie's chest cavity to make it seem like a clean gunshot wound to the chest. So we would all be like, oh my God, he was shot. And they'd thumbs up the fake Tyler on the roof. Be like, good job, buddy. We'll see you in Valhalla. But it didn't go according to plan because the device misfired. Like, where have I heard that before? And a piece of shrapnel shot through Charlie's neck, and it came out to the place that we were supposed to see the bullet going in. Now, this was the part that he said that blew. Okay. This was the part he said that really opened my eyes. He said, because it misfired and because it exploded in all sorts of which ways, a bunch of pieces of shrapnel flew everywhere, and a lot of them went down and lodged themselves deep into the concrete where Charlie Kirk was speaking. And this is why the next day, a bunch of people came to repave the entire area. So Charlie Kirk is shot, and the next morning, a bunch of random guys from God knows where in Israel come and start repaving the entire asphalt. It's like, you could have chose a better time to do that. This is literally the weirdest, most eerie part of the Charlie Kirk case, aside from Erica. It is the second strangest part about the case. Like, if you were watching a crime drama like CSI Orem and somebody gets shot and then like moments later like, oh,
Orem
are repaving the whole area, that would be like a 10-part series where they're trying to figure out like, who the are these contractors? And so then the Iranian general was like, and this is how you know that it was your government who killed Charlie Kirk. Like and subscribe to my page.
It is real. It is